just put December 5th because that was the first week of December.
Good. Okay.
Wishful thinking or something. I don't know.
And I think that, the value of Shaklee Mindworks being on the Dr. Phil McGraw show the week of December 5th is not just that it's going to be on that show, but it's the pre-promotion we can do with people. It's about calling our members, calling people we know. And everyone I've talked to about that being on there, they go, whoa, oh, wow, they say.
Yeah.
So it gives some nice credibility.
And just to underline that is that remember when we call people that our objective, and this is one of the things, by the way, that I always think about before you make a contact, just take a moment and think, what is my objective for this phone call? What is my objective for this Facebook post or whatever you're doing? Is our objective is not for people to attend the Dr. Phil show. The objective is for them to begin using MindWorks. That's a different thing. And whether they go to the show or not is I don't care. It's just the fact that it's going to be on the show tells them that it's important enough that it's caught his attention. And Don, did you mention that was it Brooke or Brittany that worked?
It was Brooke.
Brooke worked at the Dr. Phil show for what? How long was she there? A couple of years?
Well, she interned her final semester of college, and then she worked 1 year following.
Cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's really neat.
So you know what I've been doing? I started texting my members. So I got a little picture out of the MindWorks brochure. You know the brain scan where that shows 60 minutes and then their brain's all red and all that? I took a picture of that, or had a member of mine do it. Take a picture of mine, and I uploaded it to my phone, and I've been texting my members that, just saying, this is so cool. I'm really excited about it. And I'm getting a lot of buzz. I've got about 6 conversations going. I've sold about 4 bottles. But it's exactly what you said, Barb. It's not that the Dr. Phil show is what it is. It's that 4.1 million people watch it a day, so that's good. But it's that. It just adds this little bit of extra attention to Shaklee and to what we have. So I'm excited. So.
Now, Lisa, the minute you mention the picture, they're going to want the picture. So be sure.
I'm going to send it to Joe
with the little note that goes with it. Okay, very good. We learn. Okay. Okay, go ahead. Next slide. Go ahead. So, Joe, are you okay?
Okay. Yes.
Back to you, Joe. Okay.
That run through December 31st in conjunction with the Dr. Phil show airing. It's not that the show is airing through December 31st.
I didn't write that.
A long show.
It's going to be a really long show.
Please watch it.
Just a little.
I did not write that. I don't know where that came from. Okay. I'll change that one. Okay.
Okay, so a new person who joins with 1 bottle of MindWorks receives free membership to save their 15%. If they join with 2 bottles of MindWorks, they get free membership and free shipping up to $9, which is so really great. And a new person who joins with 2 MindWorks will get the free shipping, save 15%, free membership to save 15%, free shipping, and then within the next 45 days, if they order one of the new product regimens, they will get a free 60-count Omega Guard included with that, which is great because Omega Guard, the Omega-3s are very popular, I want to say. I mean, people are very much aware of the value.
And important for your brain. You know, they're like really important nutrient for the brain and reduce inflammation and so forth. By the way, speakers with open mics, there's a noise or water or
sounds
something.
Like somebody's sucking a shake.
Your shake or something. Anyway,
I thought it was Darth Vader. It sounded like Darth Vader.
It sounded like Darth Vader. Okay. So anyway, just watch where your microphone is. Okay, go ahead.
And I love this one, that for existing members, if they order 2 bottles of MindWorks, they receive free shipping up to $9, and that is in effect now, currently. Started yesterday.
Okay.
That's the one that's getting exciting. I mean, my members that I'm communicating with, they are getting excited about that $9 in free shipping. So I had 2 people yesterday tell me, I'm going to do that. I'm like, great. So
okay,
it's good.
Good. Mm-hmm. And then this one's really nice.
Oh, yes. Free distributorship to veterans, and it also extends to veterans currently active military and or their spouses. So that they
and that brings us to, we have two quick guests for our pre-call, but I don't know what that noise is. Okay, so guests, try to look if any noise going on around your desk here. So, and we want to start with Kristen Jakubowski, because we just came off of a really remarkable regional. Lisa, did you tell me that Roger Hill said there were 900 people on Friday night?
On Friday night, yeah.
At the regional conference, and Kristen Jakubowski was there, and we had a great talk afterwards, and she was saying, you know, sometimes you go to these conferences and you're just ready for lots and lots of ideas, and sometimes you're stuck, and so she has a great story to tell. So Kristen, share a little bit about your takeaway from the conference this weekend.
Hi, Barb. Hi, everybody. Yeah, well, Barb and I did speak yesterday, and I admitted to her that going into this regionals, I kind of wasn't in my best place, and without bringing everybody down, I just was going because I knew I needed to go, and I knew I should be there, and I want to be around the people that I work with in Shaklee, and so I went, and, you know, I kind of was a little more passive than I normally am during a conference, during the activities, and before I knew it, somebody came to the stage who I'd never seen or met before, Craig Cushman, and I thought, okay, here we go, another speaker, and within about 30 seconds of him starting his presentation, I thought, oh my gosh, this is for me. Like, he is speaking to me, not to the other 899 people in the room, but to me. And
wow.
It was really, it spoke to me. I have a history with athletics, and I think his delivery spoke right to me because he was so frank, and he was so all about putting it back onto you. That idea of, you know, the business works, the products work, and so if something's wrong with your business, hey, I hate to tell you, but it's you. And I needed that, and I was so happy to hear him speak and say that. And the whole front of my regional conference booklet is all what he was saying. I have massive momentum. Energy alone is chaos. Persistence alone is boring. So I just really felt like amid all of this kind of funk that I was in, here he was. I think he was the last speaker, too. And I walked out of conference like, oh my gosh, I'm ready. I'm here. I'm ready to work.
Yeah. So you never know, you know, that's why you got to be there. Very good. And then just one other quick thing is that you mentioned also about how approachable and open people are, whether they're at senior levels of field people or home office execs. They're really there for you. And you had your picture taken with Roger Barnett.
Oh my gosh. Yes. And, you know, I had, of course, met Roger Barnett in Long Beach, and so I knew he would remember me totally. But, you know, he really just is such a sweet man, and he's there for us. And but yeah, the other top level executives that I spoke with and who asked me, now how are you doing? How is your business? Now really, do they really want to hear how my business with 70 customers is? I mean, come on. But they take that time, and I know that is intentional, and I know that is meant to be. And I had executives where I used to work who did not know my name, and who did not know my position, and who did not know what I did, and frankly could care less. And so this is just such a refreshing and what a great environment to do it, where you can stand right next to them and look them in the eye and have a great conversation with them. It's just it's something you can't duplicate. You can't do that anywhere else except for conferences.
Well, thank you, Kristen. And then we wanted to hear from one other of the attendees, and that was Stephanie Bruce. And Stephanie had this big giant month in October, became a director and senior director in the same month, and she is from North Carolina, so she picks up her director and herself, and they haul off to Chicago to attend this conference. And Stephanie, tell them then, report from your perspective, what happened to you after the conference.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Well, I really learned the importance of having a game plan. Bonnie Donahue had talked about having one activity per week, whether it be going and having a play date with somebody and sharing Shaklee with them, hosting a Facebook event, or having a home party at your house. And the way she spoke on that to really grow your business was just so meaningful to me because I had never really thought of it that way. I hadn't been very purposeful with all of the events I had planned thus far, so that really changed my mindset. And then also with MindWorks coming up and the holidays coming up, really playing off of those major events and having a gift guide to send out to people, working with the MindWorks, sending out information about that to people. And then even with the new year, having an event, a whole theme that you could plan events around and get people interested. And so I just really thought that was very a new perspective on the way that I had been thinking about things. And the major part was to challenge all of the people on your team to meet the same expectations that you are. Because you can work as hard as you want, but if you don't have a team to help build you up as well and to hold themselves accountable, it makes it harder for yourself. So I really like the emphasis on the team perspective.
Very good. And then so you come off of the conference on Saturday. Sunday you set up a meeting with your newest distributor, and you sponsor a new gold distributor within 24 hours. I thought that was pretty great. And your downline was at 2,000 by the middle of November already. So you're off and running, Stephanie. Really great. Thank you, dear. Okay, Joe.
Yes.
We're ready to click and get started. There we go. Okay. And Lisa is going to
All right. Welcome, everyone. We're very excited that you're with us today. This is really, I know I say this a lot, but this is the truth. This is my favorite one we've ever done. This is going to be so good. This is lesson 12 of our Teaming Up Fall session, and really is just going to be such a special day. And we get to welcome Don Semeka to join our group speaking this morning, and who holds a great place in my heart, and who is our upline in our Shaklee organization. So here we go.
Good.
Well,
so we are going to, we just started last week, I guess, Joe, having a Facebook post of the week, and this week we had so many, we have 3 Facebook posts of the week. And so, Lisa, this is the first one you sent. Why don't you tell them about that, and then Katie, if you'd tick through the next ones, and then we're going to get started.
All right. So this one, I believe I get to give the credit to Miranda Zintgraf, and then one of our leaders, Jessica Wurzbaugh, picked it up, and then I picked it up from her. But I just think it's adorable and so smart as far as the timing. So it's the post-Thanksgiving 5-day reset. I love it because it talks about why and when and what and the products you would do. So the Healthy Foundations, which is the Vitalizer, the protein, and then Liver DTX, Herblex, and Liver Detox, Herblex and alfalfa. So it's just really cute. I got a couple of likes and shares immediately from it, and it's a great way to start talking health in the holidays with the people on your Facebook group. So
great.
Yeah.
Very good. Katie.
All right. So one post that went really well for me was a post that I did on probiotics. And I started off with just asking, did you know that 70% of your immune cells are in the intestinal tract? And then I also asked, did you also know that many probiotics you buy at the store only deliver a small amount of bacteria to the gut before being destroyed by your stomach acid? See below what makes Shaklee probiotics the guarantee of life delivery. And I posted, actually, this was pretty informal, and it was kind of a lot of information, but, it actually went really well. I took a picture of the probiotics so people could see how small it was, and that it was a round little pearl. And then I had a picture of the triple encapsulation, because we want to think probiotics are really popular. They're trendy now. What sets Shaklee's apart? It's our triple encapsulation. We have to focus on that. And not only that, but now with cold and flu season, it really shouldn't be a question of being on a probiotic. Everybody needs to be on a probiotic. In fact, just recently, I read an article about how many antibiotics are in our food. So even if you haven't been on an antibiotic yourself, most of the time, most likely, it's been in your food in some form. And so we've all been exposed to that. So as a result of that, I had somebody say, can this help eczema? And I kind of took a little bit of an approach in the comment section, and I said, I've actually helped somebody with this and worked alongside my nutritionist. I would love to connect with you this week. And so I wanted to take it off of Facebook because that's the important thing with that. And the exciting thing is this girl has been hounding me almost every day to talk. In fact, I did call her yesterday, but I was just so wrapped up in regionals, it was hard to find time to call her. And she's so excited to talk to me. And then also I've had several live conversations with people who have said, can you tell me about that probiotic again? And so feel free to share it because it was just a great post.
Nice.
And also Michelle, Michelle Parrott is just an absolute genius when it comes to Facebook and social media, and her creativity is just phenomenal. She had a holiday immunity pack, and I love what she did. She actually said free shipping or free membership opportunity, and then she talked about her natural medicine cabinet and how she ran out of garlic and the importance of keeping some things on hand. She made some suggestions of what you can keep for an immunity pack, and I believe she had some success with that as well. And then the other post was one that actually somebody was, I think, had gotten some sort of information about how soy can be bad. And so Harper, what would you say to this? They were asking, a leader of ours was asking, what would you say to this? And I loved Harper's response. She said she wouldn't get into it publicly because, let's be honest, there's really, when people are kind of set in their ways about soy, there's not much you can say to convince them otherwise. Instead, she took a different angle, and she responded with, I have a lot of research that's led me to believe in the value of soy when grown and produced properly.
I love that.
I'll send that to you. So then you're not going back and forth, especially on Facebook when people can misinterpret tones and, you know, different things like that. So I thought Harper did a great job with that.
But that's really an example of what Simon Sinek has been teaching us and what we've been bringing into trainings now is that people don't buy what you sell, they buy why you sell it. And they don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And what she did here is she said, you know, I have done the research and it's led me to value soy when it's grown and produced properly. So she's saying, this is how I feel about it. This is my reason why I take soy. And that is more powerful than burying them in 52 documents about the value of soy, you know. So anyway, well done. Kudos to Harper on that one.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Lisa.
All right, so now we have our objectives for today. So I'll go through them pretty quickly, but today the objective is to provide you with the threads that have made up the beautiful fabric of Shaklee and who we are. We're going to step back into our Shaklee family history and learn a little bit about the things that set us apart in such a significant way, so our achievements and contributions and milestones. But in addition to that, the nutrition, health, and wellness world that Shaklee has made such a massive imprint on. So we're going to understand a little bit more about the business model that Dr. Shaklee created and how it's really set upon the more we help other people, the more we can advance. It's based on cooperation, not competition. Joe, I think I get to give you credit for that. That's a fantastic wording on that. To understand how our history has contributed to what Shaklee makes us so different and so well respected. So we're going to talk about culture and values, science and technology, and its belief and opportunity for everyone. And so, really, to grow, learn, succeed, and prosper. With that, I get to introduce you to Don Sameka, and I'll give you a little bit of Don's history. Of course, I've known Don for 14 years now, just about as long as I've been in Shaklee, and him and Pat are just a tremendous gift to us. We just are so thankful every day. So Don has a Bachelor of Science in Biology, a minor in Chemistry.
And I was surprised to hear that, by the way, Don.
I was wondering.
Chemistry.
Assistant Director of Admission at 3 colleges and universities, plus the Foreign Study League, and we get to hear the greatest stories about that experience. Every now and then he'll start telling us some crazy things of Shirley Temple's son or something. It's so fantastic. Master Coordinator since 1980, title Senior Lifetime Master, over 55. This is crazy. Gets me kind of excited because I want 55 Shaklee incentive trips. Right now they have 16 first-level directors. So Pat is Don's wife. They have 2 really amazing daughters that we just adore, Brittany and Brooke. They're both just fantastic, really special people, and they live in Fort Collins. So in addition to that, I get to throw in a couple of my own 2 cents. Don, I believe, probably has one of the best gifts of verbiage in the world. And if you could see my office, you would see a million little teeny pieces of papers of different things that Don has said that I've written down. And so it's just such a neat thing to get to listen to him talk. And I know everybody's going to enjoy it so much today because he gets to take us on this journey of really getting this beautiful picture of how special and extraordinary our company is. So with that, welcome Don to Mecca.
Welcome, Don.
Well, can we go home now?
Now you are home.
Well, thank you, Lisa. You know, how would you like to have Lisa Anderson in your organization?
Oh, boy.
She is a gift to all of us, and I guess the other blessing, Barbara, is we don't live in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And
I'm loving it. I'm wishing I was there.
No.
Yeah, I love that stuff. I mean, I really love that stuff. But anyway, but you're from Kansas.
That is correct. Yes, and I feel very, very privileged to be able to share the story and a little bit of the background of this name we say all the time, Dr. Shaklee. Who was he? Why was he special? How did we get here? If we can fill in some of those gaps for you, especially if you're a relatively new person in the business, that's our objective today. There will be many takeaways. I've already taken away some great ideas from just hearing Kristen, hearing Stephanie. But this story really begins with the vision of a man who had 2 simple philosophies. Number 1, that the best way for each of us to improve our life is to care about others and get involved and get connected and have relationship with others. And Dr. Shaklee always said you can get anything in your life that you want if you help enough other people get what they want. Number 2, nature holds the secret to living healthy, fulfilled lives. And from a small family business in 1956, look what Shaklee has grown into, a multinational, billion-dollar company, all through a word-of-mouth marketing plan based squarely on the Golden Rule. Mm-hmm. But you know, it really started when Dr. Shaklee was born. That's when this whole concept of Shaklee as a movement was created. And Dr. Shaklee was born as a consumptive baby, which really basically meant he had tuberculosis. Now, in 1894, there wasn't a whole lot that could be done, and most of the doctors said this boy will never live beyond age 4. And he had parents who were committed to the fact that this boy would survive. So they lived in the coal mining area of Iowa, very, very poor air, and so they first moved to a farm in northern Iowa. Soil was better, and they could produce great food and get this boy really, really the best chance to survive. And they started exercising his arms, his legs, lots of rest. He would take walks in the woods. He would contemplate as he observed nature. He got stronger, and he began to really feel the power of good nutrition and the healthy environment that was created. And so the Shaklee philosophy of living in harmony with nature was created and spawned in those early years of his tough life. And so from that point, he decided to go into chiropractic medicine. And he went off to Davenport, Iowa, and he didn't want to become a medical doctor because he was more interested in treating disease. He was more interested in building health than treating disease. And he never did belittle the medical profession, but he felt they were two different endeavors on two different levels. And at Palmer, 1915, he's now a very young man still. He created the first multivitamin mineral in the country. Mm-hmm. And he called it Vitalized Minerals. And what he really did is he took existing known minerals, added vegetable juices, and that gave them life, and thus the name. Mm-hmm. But as you see on the right, things got a little exciting for him. He also got married in 1915 in December of that year, and so a pretty big year for him, and went off to establish his first health clinic. Now that health clinic grew, and 1917 they started their family. The health clinic was still relatively small, but he moved it to Mason City, Iowa, which was a bigger city in the area, and in 1924 actually created a clinic that consisted of doctors, osteopaths, health professionals. He had 15 people on staff. Dr. Shaklee was actually the administrator for that clinic, and it was really a total concept, unbelievable. And as you can see on the right, he did something that not too many people were doing in the health profession in 1924. He had his own airplane, and he flew off to help patients, and so ahead of his time. And I guess every time you think of Dr. Shaklee, and I must say, we met Dr. Shaklee specifically on 2 occasions, and you just can't believe how real he was as a person, but his true genius, in my opinion, was that he understood the human condition, and that he understood what people wanted, why they wanted it, and what made them tick. And so he started to deliver sermons at a local Christian church. Actually, that led to being ordained as a minister, received his Doctor of Divinity degree in 1933. So he had all these pieces to his life. But it was the start of something that was even larger to come. Barbara, did you ever meet Dr. Shaklee?
No.
Never had the chance.
Mike and I did. I think it was probably one of our first conferences. And he had this very deep, booming voice.
Yes.
And when he spoke, it just commanded attention. And but you're right, Don. He was just a real human, likable type of guy. But I can't imagine the kind of thinking that went on with him to be so far ahead in his thinking, to have this integrative clinic back in the early 20s to develop the first multivitamin. To me it's amazing.
Yeah, and to think that in the teens, 100 years ago, most everyone had a garden outside their back door, and to talk to people about supplementing their diet, that the food would not meet all of the requirements as we move through the 20th century. That was vision that was kind of beyond comprehension.
Yeah.
And so now he's married. They have the 2 boys. It's 1929, not really a great year for America. It's when the Depression started, when the stock market exploded, and his clinic burned to the ground. Now, along with just the typical loss, he lost all of his records, all of these.
That's right.
All of these regimens that he had created. His patients would come in, and he would create a dietary regimen for them to get on, and he could see that clearly with fruits and vegetables, they recovered more quickly from their complaints. And he always said, "I'm interested in building health," and that was always what he wanted to do.
Well, you see, I was just going to say, if you think about what was going on in the United States in the very first part of the 19th century, the 1900s, that is when the machines were being developed that would refine flour, for example. Kellogg and Post, they were the early health food gurus of their day. They started their cereal companies because they felt that people were getting their food too refined. And if you think about where he lived, and this was probably the appeal of him making his way to California, in Iowa, what are you going to eat in January? There aren't fresh fruits and vegetables. We didn't have a way of bringing them to people, especially in rural areas at that time. And so nutritional needs actually were very high. So it's an interesting point that you make, is you can live off your garden only so long,
as long as you have a garden.
And then the November hits, and you're done, right? So it was an interesting time, and he hung out with these guys, with Thomas Edison and
Firestone. Harvey Firestone.
Firestone. I mean, these people, Henry Ford, they were the innovators of their time, and he was a good fit with those folks. Okay, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, not interruption at all. And actually, I heard, and it's pretty well founded, that he also developed a synthetic rubber tire at one point.
I heard that too.
And as you see on the screen, he built a motorhome. He took one of the vans from the clinic and converted it with icebox bunks, the whole wide range of additions to the van, and built one of the first motorhomes, and took the family and moved.
Fascinating. Wow.
moved to Oakland, California. Now things were going pretty well because he opened a new clinic, very successful. Nutrition was at the core. He was lecturing on nutrition, sometimes on the radio, and then another tragedy hit. In the summer of 1941, his wife was struck by a car as she crossed the street in Oakland. And she was hospitalized for several months, but then she did pass away. So he lost his wife. He had suffered X-ray burns from being too close to the X-ray machine in one of the clinics, and he had developed a cancer on his shoulder, and he basically was given the sentence that he would lose his arm at the shoulder, and he refused to accept that. So he again went to the country, recouped with fresh air, with great food, took care of himself, and once again learned that nature held a lot of the secrets to good health. And so now fast forward to 1956, and what's really exciting to think is that now this is 41 years after he developed that multivitamin. And he had been marketing, if you will, through his clinics, a couple of his supplements that he created. But now his two sons had gotten out of the service. The war was over. They went to their dad and they said, I believe that we need to start a company. And Lee, the younger son, was more of the business mind, and he mentioned that I think we should do this people to people. Now, what was kind of ironic is they were based in Oakland, California, and also based in Oakland, California is one of the largest grocery outlets in the world called Safeway.
Uh-huh.
Now, it would have been really easy to say, let's put these products on the shelf.
Yeah.
Let's go through Safeway. They're right here. But no, they felt we're unique. Our product needs education. Our product needs that human connection. And so they decided to have a little backyard barbecue in Stockton, California, and invited 6 people. And they told them of this grandiose idea to start Shaklee Products Company. And as with most 6-person events, there's always one who has to sleep on it. And so,
Some things never change, right?
Right. So five people agreed to join. The 6th person had to sleep on it. The next day said, yeah, I'll come in too. Those were the first 6 members. And so when you reflect on that little mental picture, big things can happen from small events.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And why can't your business take on similar exponential growth from something small? Mm-hmm. And I think that's a takeaway that's worth mentioning. But now we're started in 1956. Now, something else that has to be mentioned is that they didn't have a whole lot of money. It's May of 1956. They go into a bank in Oakland. Dr. Shaklee goes in. Draw this picture. He's meeting with the banker. Well, the banker says, "Well, tell me about your products." He's, "Well, I've had them for 41 years." Well, that's impressive. That's impressive. What's your business model? He said, "Well, we're going to found this on the golden rule." and the banker said, "Excuse me." And when he goes to the back room and stops laughing, he comes back and says, "No, we don't have any money for you." And so what happened is the boys cashed in their life insurance policies. So did Forrest. They created all the money they could create. So from May till December 1956, they did $100,000 in business. Pretty impressive.
Mm.
And they were started. So now Shaklee Corporation had its start, but it was still called Shaklee Products. And that was the birth of what we know today. So, on the next, go ahead.
Well, maybe we just want to mention here that now if he's in his early 60s now.
He's 62.
Mm-hmm. He's 62. So think about all the things that he's lived through, all the minds that he's been exposed to and had a chance to strategize with, have conversations with, and think about what he's lived through already in his life. And when somewhere in there, he started to develop a philosophy and to really understand what now today we all hear about all the time, and we talk about a lot about what you think about, you bring about, and how our thoughts can direct the path of our lives and so forth. Back in his day, that was very new thinking. And so he started to develop a philosophy that came right along with his scientific expertise, his innovative spirit and mind, his financial kind of expertise that he drew from one of his sons, and then he brought that philosophy, and that was no small thing. And that philosophy still has been carried through this company to today, almost 60 years later since it was founded. But he wrote several books, and they were called Thoughtsmanship, because to teach people about being careful about our thoughts, being mindful about that. So go ahead. That brings us to the family years.
No, that's true. And actually, I think 1951, he had 4 books, and they all started with the word thoughtsmanship. Thoughtsmanship for well-being, thoughtsmanship in love and marriage, thoughtsmanship for the bride, thoughtsmanship for the salesman. And those were, he would lecture on those books on the Oakland and San Francisco radio stations, but he would always slide in a little nutrition to the lecture. And so it was really it was in his DNA that to change lives and to change health, we had to get down to some pretty strong basics. But these philosophies were critical because, again, you're not just talking about starting a company, but you're starting in-home businesses, which was probably as far out there as going to the moon. It just was so, as somebody said, so naive and so radical. And yet, fast forward a century, and he was spot on to where we are. So the Shaklee Products Company movement was a lot of things. It took a lot of courage. And, again, he didn't need the grief at age 62 to be in a failed business. And so he just could not stop learning, could not stop sharing. Everything he did in the business model was there because he wanted to improve the life of others. He was not monetarily driven to become the richest man in Northern California. He was not driven that way at all. He introduced the first car program because he did not want the women in the business driving home late at night in cars that would break down. And so it was that sensitivity coupled with good sense as to how to build the business. But then as the company grew, we're into the growth years. From 1956 to 1980 were really kind of the family years. That's when you saw a lot of Lee and Forrest and Dr. Shaklee. Now, Dr. Shaklee actually passed away in 1986, I believe. But we would see him at conventions. We were fortunate one time to have a cruise in the Bay of San Francisco out around Alcatraz, and I came out on the small boat, and there was dinner being served inside and so on. I came out, and he was sitting all by himself toward the rear of the boat and sitting and rubbing his knee. And I said, "Are you okay?" And he says, "Well, this knee has always given me trouble, and I guess it's the cold night air or something." He was rubbing his knee, but just he'd talk to you just as was mentioned at the regional. Shaklee people care, and it started with the man. So those were the years. Shaklee had a board of directors. It was very impressive. Alan Shepard, the astronaut, was on that board, along with some other very well-known names. And I must tell a story here. 1979, we were in Vienna on the Shaklee convention, and we had a key and master event, and we were seated with Alan Shepard and his wife.
Wow.
And we said something about what's it like to be on the Shaklee board. And he said, to tell you the truth, we were all invited, all 12 board members were invited to Vienna. And I thought, ho-hum, I have to go listen to a lot of boring talks and sit in meetings. And he said, I am so impressed with the quality of people and the inspiration and the health and the healthy-looking participants. He said, this has been one of the best things I've ever done.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, from the Shaklee years, we moved to 1980, 1989, the era of becoming a Fortune 500 company. And we're traded on the New York Stock Exchange. Now, I'm going to have another little lesson in here on this point. We came in as number 486, the Fortune 500. Very impressive to be in the Fortune 500. Actually, I'd never been on the New York Stock Exchange. And I looked at who was number 485 and who was number 487. Who were we bracketed by? And this is funny. One of the companies made a single product, and it was a zipper company. And I thought, how can they get that big with one boring product? And here we have this world in front of us. We should be 10 times larger than number 485. But anyway, that always stuck with me, that sometimes we have so much that we fail to focus, and we talk and we're scattered. And I think one lesson in our business that I've learned is that people who know who they are, who know what they're good at, focus on that, do a lot of it, tend to move ahead pretty quickly. And so you need that focus and you need that direction in your business. But anyway, those were the years of being on the New York Stock Exchange, and something happened. And Barbara, I know you probably remember this, but we became the subject of a hostile takeover.
I remember it well.
Oh, yeah.
And, there were guys, like, don't even need to mention their names, who would try to acquire a bulk of the stock of a company, take it over, sell it off, dismantle it, do whatever. And so that there was one gentleman, well, that's using the term politely, but there was one guy who was moving toward a 14% acquisition of the stock, and the Securities and Exchange Commission said, you have to make a declaration at that point. And he said, well, my declaration's I want to take over Shaklee. So, long story short, Shaklee said, let's go private again. We're best when we're family owned. When we're private, we aren't beholden to stockholders. So anyway, Shaklee Japan was a really strong entity within the Shaklee picture, and the management of Shaklee Japan partnered with Shaklee and partnered with a company called Yamanouchi to be the white knights that saved the company from those corporate raiders.
Wow.
Now it wasn't all a bad scene, because those wise people, we have a first level couple who now live in Arizona that had a fair amount of Shaklee stock. And it was wonderful because on the day before, it was at $22. The next day it was at $44. So anyone who had a lot of stock did very, very well. But anyway, those were great years, because Yamanouchi had one fantastic overreaching concept in their mission, and that was they really believed in harmony with nature. They really believed in taking care of what we have, and the nutritional piece was strong because they had this fantastic research behind them. They were an international, did a lot of business in Switzerland, but they were an international high-grade pharmaceutical company that was based in Tokyo. And I must say, those leaders from Yamanouchi were marvelous people and wonderful.
Mr. Morioka.
Yes, Mr. Morioka, Masa Ueno, wonderful people and very, very, very good years. But then things changed, and Yamanouchi had purchased Harry and David, Shaklee, and Jackson Perkins Roses. And there was a guy named Roger Barnett who said, I don't need roses in my life, but I would love to have that Shaklee company. And so in 2004, we start the Roger Barnett era, and international expansion got more aggressive. And what Roger saw as his analyst went out is they saw a company with unbelievable potential. And they spent 5 years and $20 million researching basically about, it narrowed down to about 75 companies. But Shaklee kept coming to the top. And he kept making an offer. And Yamanouchi kept saying, that's a wonderful offer, Mr. Barnett, but we're not for sale. And Roger, if nothing else, is unbelievably persistent. And he doesn't hear the word no. And so he kept offering, going back. I think he learned Japanese, whatever it took. And ultimately, he bought Shaklee for a little over $310 million. And with that, he bought Shaklee Mexico, Shaklee Canada, Shaklee U.S., quickly became Shaklee Malaysia, now Shaklee Taiwan, Shaklee China, soon to be Shaklee India. But what he didn't see, what Roger did not see, what his $20 million in research did not surface, was the magnificent human potential, the resource of human inspiration, activity, drive, commitment, loyalty that's in the Shaklee field. And I think daily he sees that was the greatest resource that he purchased. And so Roger saw Shaklee as a vehicle that could change lives, could change wealth, could change health. And he started to create some goals for the company, one being to be the first company to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. Again, naive, radical, probably, but, you kind of hate to bet against the guy.
No, exactly.
So, anyway, that was the fact that the next visionary leader had stepped up to the plate. And so Roger moved his family to the Bay Area, and so that who's at the top of the Barnett years in this timeline. So,
and that, by the way, that's for those who are with us today, who are starting your Shaklee businesses. That is why we feel so excited for you. That it's I've heard people say it's like a 60-year-old company startup. It's like a 60-year-old startup, because people like Roger Barnett are rare. People like Forrest Shaklee are rare, and we've been blessed to get to work shoulder to shoulder with both of them and to learn from them. Roger Barnett walks in a room, or if he's on a conference call, I pick up my pen and I write, because I've learned he teaches us a lot. He teaches us how he thinks. I remember when he first came, there were changes to be made. During the period before he arrived, there hadn't been a lot of new things going on with Shaklee, and there were things to to look at, the compensation plan and the new products now to be introduced and all of that. Packaging, all of that. I mean, we used to say to people, I remember there was one big convention, and they had this big announcement about new packaging. And we were all at the edge of our seats, and then all of a sudden, flashed on the screen was the new labels, and we all went, "Oh, kind of looks like the old labels." And the big news was that now they were made of some kind of paper so that they were biodegradable and better for the environment. So we would say to people, they don't pay any attention to what's on the outside of the bottle, and all the attention goes into what's on the inside, which was good. But what I learned from him, and this is good for all of us to know, he said, in today's world, the speed of business does not allow us time until every I is dotted and every T is crossed. Mm-hmm. You just have to be willing to jump in and learn as you go. And that was news for me. I always thought you had to get your plan all laid out and so forth. I mean, he is wise beyond and his whole family, they have such amazing business expertise, but they are successful because they are such wonderful people. So on to the contributions then that this company has made.
Oh yes, and they are many, and we will have just a short list of them. Obviously, the contributions to the entire science of nutrition has to come back on Shaklee's doorstep. Ahead of their time in every regard. 1980, they opened up the state-of-the-art Norman, Oklahoma manufacturing plant. It's no longer with us. Roger felt by the time he bought Shaklee that we had outgrown it. We could not turn a product quickly enough. And so actually, the FDA had moved into the plant using some of our scientific equipment, and they were so impressed with it, they kind of took over the plant. But then other contributions to create a new business model that rewarded people for helping others to grow. Now, how unique is that? Mm-hmm. No limits to achievement. Opportunity for anyone, regardless of your education, work experience, age, social status. Excuse me. I'm going to get a drink of water. Barbara, talk.
Yeah. Financial background, social status, gender, or race. It was anyone. I mean, we love the rags to riches story, but I know when we became master coordinators, I remember there were 24 teams that year, and the backgrounds that they came from. There was a concert that I think Norma and Roger Olson are on. Norma was a concert violinist. Roger, professor of psychology. There were PhDs. There were architects. There were Ruth Barnes, who had graduated from Harvard. There was her husband was a meteorologist. I mean, it was amazing, the collection of professions that people had come from. So the whole cross section, I love that. I love that about our field. Okay, are you back?
I am back, and as you say that, there are people truly from every walk of life. I had a phone call last night from a gentleman from Philadelphia, not connected with the business at all, and I had met Jay twice, and he said, "Well, what do you guys do?" And so I told him a little bit, and he said, "Well, what kind of people get into this business?" And so I went through kind of what Barbara just did, but I thought back real quickly to the story of the Neffs, the Husmans, and the Hirschbergers. And a guy comes over to the Neff home and shares the business. And the husband doesn't want to get involved. He's a bricklaying contractor. But his wife gets involved. They sponsor another couple. Well, 3 bricklaying families in a row build a Shaklee business, and they all become master coordinators.
Wow.
And so you get them from every spectrum. Okay, moving along. The philosophy of how Our thoughts can affect our lives. A business model of doing well by doing good. A culture of working in teams, sharing ideas, that collaboration again, that cooperation, and setting the highest standards for the industry as a whole for supplement manufacturing. Okay, next, what we see coming up is the legacy. The legacy of what Shaklee has left behind and is creating in the form of innovation through our scientists, Dr. Scala, Dr. Jim Whittam, who was a true gem in the nutrition world, Dr. McManus, presently on board, our liaison with the medical world in our field, Dr. Bruce Daggy. I can't hear enough of Dr. Daggy. Fantastic. Our scientific board is fabulous. Nutriferon came out of Dr. Kojima from Japan, being on our advisory board. Today we are collaborating with Nobel laureate Elizabeth Blackburn, and we have over 100 published scientific peer-reviewed studies, which you know about. Okay. Here's a timeline just to see when different products were introduced along the Shaklee trail. And I guess the most significant, of course, I mentioned in 1915. But in 1960, Basic 8's first biodegradable cleaner, the first Earth Day product, was created. And Dr. Shaklee worked for years creating the instant protein, all-natural protein product. And you go along, the phosphate-free dishwash powder, the uniqueness, over 55 patents and patents pending. It says $250 million invested in science and research. I think that's over $300 million now. Okay, and then the next timeline is we started to be noticed in other realms of the world. Shaklee was selected by Jacques Cousteau to clean the Calypso with the cleaning products so we didn't pollute the ocean. From that, Shaklee dovetailed with the Cousteau Society on the Dolphin Log, which was an environmental magazine for children between the ages of 7 and 15. And they sponsored a number of issues in the Dolphin Log. Planted 1 million trees in Nepal. Shaklee was selected for the Biosphere, which was in Tucson, Arizona area. And another little story here. One thing that happened in the Biosphere, Shaklee was very successful with the cleaning products in that experiment. But one thing that happened in the Biosphere that is a sidebar here, but the one thing that did not do well in the Biosphere were the trees. And the trees did not do well because they didn't have any wind, they didn't have any resistance, they didn't have any problems to deal with, and so they were very fragile. And as you go through your Shaklee business, it's okay to have some disappointment and some people that don't show up and some people that don't do what they say they're going to do and some setbacks, some loss, because it's in those times that we grow, we stretch, and certainly you can see already Dr. Shaklee had his share of tragedy. It didn't stop him. He kept going. Okay, Arctic Ocean Explorations, Will Steger, our climate neutral certification as the first climate neutral certified company in the world, the 1 million trees in U.S. and Kenya, and then I think one more timeline here. Extraordinary feats where we've been involved, and I think it's good to note that these entities came to Shaklee. Shaklee didn't go out and recruit these entities. The first American that was successful in getting to the top of Mount Everest without oxygen was using Shaklee products. And at that time, the key product was one of our weight loss products. And we saw and heard the slideshow with the people that had this ascent. Fascinating. The Voyager, the first nonstop flight around the world. Dick Rutan and Jenny Yeager, Shaklee created a little soup they could use within the Voyager. Incredible event. Will Steger, the Daedalus from which we receive our performance product. NASA just recently released that we have been creating AstroAid, a re-entry drink for the astronauts to keep them from passing out as they re-enter the Earth's atmosphere. And, of course, we can't use that name for obvious reasons. But the U.S. ski team, 11 gold medals, 7 silver, 4 bronze. But overall, Shaklee has over 59 gold medals, 30 silver, and 15 bronze from Olympic and World Games. And when you get right down to it, Time Magazine created a book years ago with the 25 greatest adventures of all time, and 7 of those had Shaklee products involved. That's absolutely unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And so that's part of our legacy, and that's something we should be incredibly proud of. And if anything speaks to the usage and the effectiveness of our product, this slide should do that for you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, and in a short time after Roger Barnett started his ownership tenure with Shaklee, he really was concerned that a lot of the statements we were making were they really true? But then he went to his first conference and he saw all these healthy people who were getting up in years, and he thought, gosh, maybe we should do a study of longtime Shaklee users. And so long story short, and most of you know this, they did the landmark study with the University of Cal Berkeley School of Public Health, and they pitted our products against other supplement users versus people who use no supplements at all. And, of course, the results were not only impressive, they were quite staggering in every category, as Shaklee just really steamrolled everyone else with not impressive figures, but just spectacular figures of health. And so we'll move along here.
That's good. And so this brings us to the close of our session, and we Don reminded us of a quote from Jim Rohn that your past means nothing unless it helps you design a better future. And so we want to just leave you with a couple of slides here about thinking about where we go from here, knowing about this legacy, knowing about these models, knowing a little bit more about the hurdles that had to be overcome over the years. And then I found this great quote about change is good, you go first. Because, we all need to be changing because the world is changing as well. Go ahead and click, Joe.
And we want to make sure that we take away some lessons from this incredible legacy that we have in Shaklee. And I think there's just a couple of really important ones. Our legacy positions Shaklee as a trusted resource. We can stand tall and walk proud because of our history and our heritage in the midst of discriminating consumers who ask, blunt questions to the flood of information and hype that's out there. So we just want to remember where we've come from, because that really grounds us. And the fact that we are then also the science and research behind everything that Shaklee stands for. And the 2 models that we have from these amazing individuals who showed us, what you do with challenges. You face them head on and you work through them, and then you go on to, and keep going. So there's some incredible lessons here for all of us.
And then we found some great quotes about challenges. Leadership means facing challenges head on. Challenges are what make life interesting. Overcoming them is what makes it meaningful.
Nice.
Love that one, yeah. Oh, that one's hard to read, but it says, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. That was good.
Yeah.
And the last one is, life's challenges are not supposed to worry you. They're supposed to help you discover who you are and how far you can go. And so, Katie?
Of all that, as someone who's fairly new to the business, a lot of that was new, and I'm just excited to carry out what Dr. Shaklee has laid for us. I think it's just such a rich history, and I love learning more about his life. In fact, I picked up a couple of his books that you can get on Amazon. And so as you think through now this history and all the accomplishments and the heritage, think about what role you want to play. I know for me what really stood out to me was the reminder that this is all about relationships. This is all about people. And yes, we have an incredible product to offer people, but at the end of the day, it's learning to help others. It's learning to pass on good health and build wellness, help other people on your team to have success. I think that's one of the greatest joys in the business, is to see when other people have success and are able to build something for themselves. And what kind of purpose and mission you want to carry out with this, and the mission of your business, and what you would like to create with your life. And I love, too, that, you know, as we think through this history, and even hearing Roger Barnett speak, it's not without obstacle. In fact, what stood out to me at Regionals the most was when Roger talked about compound growth and how a lot of people quit before they really see it get good. And he talked about, I believe it was him, that 90% of sales take place on the fifth contact, but only 10% of people take it past the second contact. And that, to me, really stood out, because I'm in this for the long run, and I'm in this business when I can see at Regionals all these incredible older people in amazing shape and so much energy, and on 0 prescriptions. I know that I'm building health for my family in the long run, but then I also hear the stories of passing down this business to your kids and what that can mean. So it's just truly remarkable to think about that, and I'm excited to hear all this and now implement it.
Yeah, nice, Katie. And click, Joe.
Well, this was so good. Don't you just love the stories? I don't know. They do so much for me. So thank you, Dawn, for sharing those. I was remembering a story as he was going through. Someone had told me about an Amish couple that had built a Shaklee business and earned a bonus car. But, of course, they don't drive cars. So Shaklee gave them the bonus horse, which just makes me crack up, and I love it. What a special company. But I think the stories really embody so much of the uniqueness and the specialness and the inspiration that we can draw from something fantastic. And so I love it. Okay, action steps for this week. So now is a very good time to sit down and write your mission statement. Do it for your life and your business. And if you haven't done this, you will be amazed. Write it down, put it up in front of you, and then 2, 4, 6 months from now, look back and you can see how that mission statement has propelled and guided you in your business. So don't skip this. It's important. And then update it every now and then. Think about what you are going to take away from today, maybe something that you want to share. Again, these stories are so rich, and there's so much more than just being able to talk about a statistic or something like that. So when we're looking to 2015, when someone asks you what you do, you can say, and this, I believe, Dawn, this is your statement. I love it. I have had a good fortune to connect with the company that created the first multivitamin. And this year we will be celebrating the 100th anniversary of that momentous event. I am pretty proud of that legacy and everything the company stands for. Isn't that special? And I love telling people, you know what, especially if I'm doing like an opportunity presentation or something, I'll say, I'm going to tell you a little bit about who we are, and this is a story that no one else gets to tell. We really are pretty special, and I believe that, and I know that, and that little sentence there embodies that. Go ahead. I can hear a comment coming.
No, it's okay. I was just getting ready for the next slide. You're good.
Okay, so let me talk about the Facebook post here. This was Barb's idea, and it's a great one. So today it's an idea you could go and say, I just learned the most inspiring history of Shaklee Corporation, making me all the more proud to be associated with this remarkable company. So, this is, I think, the point of this little piece of the action step. When you have a moment of inspiration and you get touched and you get impacted from things about this incredible company, share that. Put that out there for people to see, because it really does make a difference and it impacts them.
Thanks, Lisa. And so we're coming up on a very special event next August. Don, if you would share your thoughts about Cleveland.
Well, first of all, we just went through Cleveland about 2 weeks ago, and it is a beautiful city. And what we really want to invite people to think about is that this is going to be a 100-year party, and you don't want to miss it, because if you miss it, you'll never be able to go to the 100-year party again. And this is going to be a special, special time as we honor the 100 years of that incredible development of vitalized minerals. But you will want to bring with you your family, a friend, somebody. If you went to the Long Beach conference, have a goal to bring at least 1 or 2 or 3 new people with you. That's how we're going to see the excitement and momentum build. And how many do you plan to bring that are business partners? And I know our organization has a goal to increase our numbers, and we had great numbers in Long Beach. We hope to go up about 60% above that number. And so it's going to be a great time. There are a ton of things to do in Cleveland, and I'll leave it at that, but start talking about it now. And of course, Dr. Shaklee, famous quote, your future life will be exactly what you decide to make it. And I think reflecting back to, I guess Stephanie said it, that we own our own company. So how we think about it, how we act on it, it really kind of comes back in our domain.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Thank you, Don.
Okay.
And just so that people are aware of our agenda for the next 2 months, really, we wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving next week, and we want you all to know that we are so thankful and grateful for all of you that join us every Thursday morning. And so no training the next 2 weeks. Next Thursday is Thanksgiving. The following Thursday is the Playa del Carmen Shaklee trip. Barb, you found
Feliz viaje, happy travels.
Feliz viaje. All right.
Nice.
And our final session of this series, of the Fall 2014 series, will be on Thursday, December 11th. So we have one more Thursday morning this year. And
wow.
We have something special planned for that one, too. This was wonderful. Don Semeka, yes. We just can't thank you enough. When I was mentioning that you're from Kansas, it's because you have this wonderful Kansas way of telling stories and framing things, and it was really a wonderful. This was a wonderful event today. Joe?
Yes.
You want to show them the Monday night?
Yes, we have Inside the World coming up November 24th, and then Gary Burke on December 1st, and then December 15th with Dr. Steve Chaney sorting through the myths of the ingredient critics.
I'm quite excited about that topic. I think that's going to be so important for everyone building a business, or even just, starting Shaklee, to really get on. So that's good. Very good.
Right. And just so that everybody's aware of where our webinars are archived, we have this. So should we look at questions? This was just
looking at
great.
them right now. So it looks like everybody had a little challenge getting on, but we're good now. Okay.
Whoa.
Okay. I'm trying to read them fast here. Where are these posted, Joe? Do you have that slide up?
I do.
That's where they're posted, right there. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Oh, there's some thanks to you, Don. A lot of folks who so appreciate. Okay, let's see.
Can other products be added to the free shipping for existing members with the 2 bottles of MindWorks? Yes, that's why it says up to $9. So if they just ordered 2 MindWorks, their shipping would probably be $8.50 or something, and if they add more products, they'll get $10 or $9 off.
Suzanne Fleming says, we met Dr. Shaklee and attended many events with him. He thanked us for being young and interested in the opportunity, and then he gave me a kiss. Our oldest son, Ryan, got to sit on his lap at a convention, and he and Dorothy talked to him for a while. It was so special. He always showed interest in each of us, a very special man. Oh,
nice. That's
Hey,
great.
Barbara, the first time I went to a Shaklee convention with Pat. Pat had built our business to director and earned the trip to San Francisco. And we got in this big ballroom, and she just had to get up and talk to Dr. Shaklee. So we weaved our way through the masses, and we finally got up. We're face to face, and Pat was speechless. She couldn't say anything. And but it was really funny. But
I know he was just so wonderful, and you loved him so much that you could hardly. You felt reverent in his presence. I know. That's really great. Anything else there, Joe? I'm looking. When Nature Speaks is the name of one of the books about his life. When Nature Speaks by Georges Spunt, S-P-U-N-T.
Yeah, and at Amazon.com you can still order a book called The Shaklee Story, and you can read about Pat and Don Smecka's story.
Yes. Very cool.
Somebody had problems with not getting free shipping and with their auto ship and stuff. You need to call field support on those kinds of issues, or bump it up line in your group until you find some help.
Oh gosh. Okay. So lots of comments here about the Shaklee product timeline. That actually, we have that. We can give that to you, but all of these are going to be archived for you at bobsfiles.net. So you'll have those timelines too. Yeah, they're great timelines. Okay, I'm ticking through. There's a lot of comments today. And Suzanne said she was at the 25th, the 50th, and now doesn't want to miss the 100th.
Wow. That's so cool.
Suzanne Fleming, that's really cool. Okay, thanks and thanks. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Lots of kudos to you, Don. People feel this was just phenomenal. And
you're welcome. Obviously we could go on, but he's an incredible journey.
Yeah,
but good for us to know. Knowing all of that is backing you up every time you reach out and you work your business. We all hold hands and do this together, and now knowing the really proud history that you have and the legacy, it just makes us a little stronger, a little more confident in the work that we do. So thank you, everybody. You are all so wonderful. We wish you a wonderful holiday time. It's a time of year when we really are thankful for so much, and we're thankful for you. We're thankful for this company, and I will tell you, I am thankful for the colleagues that we get to work with. The Senekas are off in Colorado, and Lisa's in a different, they're in a different group, and Joe is in a different group. We all come from different downlines, and we all just love working together, and it's just a joy to be in a business like that. And so thanks, everyone. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Good job, Dawn. It was awesome.
Thank you.
Rest of the month.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.